Thank you. If I just quickly turn to Maajid, a number of the firms that we are communicating with will just say it's far too complicated to do what H&M has done, or they cannot have sight of their chain, or they are not involved in breaking the law. So I wondered, Maajid, if you could try and share some of the evidence that you submitted, what more firms can do to ensure they're not involved in the slave labour of the Uyghur.
Well, first of all, let me thank you, Ms. Ghani, for putting together this committee, and everyone else, all the members of the Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy Committee, and thank my team at Quilliam International for putting together our submission with me, and also our coalition partners, the Coalition to End Forced Labour in the Uyghur region. Allow me, if I may, to remind everybody listening that this is the Parliament that on the 28th of August in 1833 passed with a royal assent the Slavery Abolition Act. We have a grand history and heritage that we should be rightly proud of in eliminating slavery, enslaved labour and all other forms of abuses in our supply chains as far back as 1833 with the Abolition of Slavery Act. Now, even back then, people were making arguments based on pragmatism and profit to try and argue that it would not be in our financial interests, that it would somehow jeopardize our industry, that it would put our businesses at a competitive disadvantage if we did not take this firm and uncompromising moral stand against enslaved labor. Of course, we know in history now, with hindsight, those arguments were nothing but excuses. And I urge everybody listening to please remember the great heritage with which we arrive at in this Parliament to have this conversation. In response to your question, and also allow me, Ms. Ghani, to congratulate H&M for being the only ones, to my knowledge, that have taken action in a way that indicates at least the level of seriousness of these allegations. We are talking, after all, about history's most technologically sophisticated genocide. Now, I personally know what it feels like to be arbitrarily detained and witness torture, as I have served in Egypt for 5 years as a prisoner of conscience. And my journey there began because I initially witnessed as a 15-year-old the Bosnia genocide, and it's very important for us to understand the gravity of this conversation. What supply chains, UK supply chains in particular, need to be aware of is that 84% of the cotton made in China originates from the area of Xinjiang, the East Turkestan, according to the Uyghur people, where precisely these allegations of a genocide are being made. And so if 84% of China's cotton originates in that area, what I would say is, as a starting point, as a default, just as the United States of America has done in a law that is yet to be ratified, we in Britain must approach cotton coming from China by default as having a presumption that it is tainted by enslaved labor and genocide unless it can be proven otherwise. Now, I know that that's a long-term aim, so what can we do in the short term? Well, in terms of complicity, it's almost certain. If 84% of the cotton in China is coming from an area where there are serious allegations of a genocide, then the complicity issue is almost certain. I don't think anybody should make excuses there that we are making profit. We may not be the cause of the genocide, but we, as a country, are making profit off the back of it, and that sickens me. It sickens me when I wear this cotton to be aware of that fact. Now, we currently have an inadequate legislative framework, and I'll use one word to describe it. It is toothless, Ms. Ghani, unfortunately. In April 2020, the Global Legal Action Network and the World Uyghur Congress submitted to Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, they submitted under the Foreign Prison-Made Goods Act of 1987, a report on the extent of their belief that we were benefiting from enslaved labor in East Turkestan or the Xinjiang region in China. Unfortunately, no action was taken by Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs. We also have Section 54 in the Modern Slavery Act 2015. Again, unfortunately, this has demonstrated itself to be toothless because unfortunately, even though firms have a reporting obligation if they earn over £36 million, no steps are required by these firms to do anything. So what we suggest is approach this with a smart mix of measures. We require enhanced disclosure, full transparency. We require for Parliament to impose positive duties on firms, because it's a shame and a national humiliation that I, who follows this issue regularly, can only find one firm to congratulate, and that is H&M. And so I'd be very interested in hearing from the others here today as to what they're doing as well. We require, as government, to assist firms to diversify, because of course we don't want to put them, our own firms, our country's firms, we don't want to put them at an official, at a disadvantage competitively globally. So they will require assistance from Parliament to diversify. We recommend that too. They also need guidance, official guidance, as to where they can outsource their supply chains in a more responsible manner. And we also require enforcement, so that the law that exists already doesn't just remain toothless. The Foreign Prison Made Goods Act 1987, the Proceeds of Crime Act 2002, these need to be enforced in a way that disincentivize firms from having any association with enslaved labor. We have to impose a liability, whether it's from a human rights perspective, and that means as a country reasserting that in our negotiations abroad, we will put human rights first and foremost to make sure that we're not tainted with slavery in any way. And I also recommend further transparency. In Australia, for example, I'm aware of an ethical fashion report that comes out every year. The 2019 one is available online, and it grades firms in a multicolored bar chart way. And it goes through all of their supply chains at each stage, because everybody is aware as to how complicated this is. And then it gives them a score at the end of it, so that the consumer is aware of the choices that they make. Because right now I believe, Ms. Ghani, that we, the consumers, and as a country are being deceived, whether intentionally or unintentionally, by our own firms as to where our cotton that we're wearing on our own backs is coming from. And I want no association whatsoever with the clothes I choose to buy and put on my family, that they are in any way linked to the enslavement of my fellow Muslims in the Uyghur region.
Thank you, Maajid. And just one final question. I'm grateful for all the witnesses attending today, but we are one witness short. Disney hasn't been able to make the session today. So it's beyond cotton. It's about all involvement in the area of Xinjiang. Maajid, and I wonder if you had any message for Disney.
I, frankly, Ms. Ghani, am absolutely disgusted by the fact that Disney, in their hubris, have decided not to attend the mother of all parliaments to at least address the accusations against them. And therefore, in their absence, may I, if I have a moment, to tell you what precisely has angered me about Disney. I, having previously been a subscriber to the Disney Channel for my child, again feel ashamed that I've consumed a product that Disney themselves have acknowledged publicly and openly in their latest film known as Mulan, that was filmed in a region that has been cleared out amid these serious allegations of a genocide in Xinjiang. They were filming in a region where we are saying there is a genocide taking place, and they admitted it because at the end of show credits in Mulan, Disney thanks none other than the Turpan security services, who are the very security services that the Uyghur people say have been genociding them, forcing them in factories to be engaged in enslaved labor, harvesting their organs, 13 tons of hair turning up in the United States of America that has been shaved from the heads of Uyghurs. And so Disney, having openly thanked the Turpan security services for allowing them to film in this region, means that they have openly admitted that they are profiting from a genocide. And anyone listening, I ask you to think about that and how it makes you feel. Because on the one hand, forgive me for my language, a bit like a minstrel show, when it comes to the Oscars, they want diversity quotas so that people that look like you and me can stand and sing and clap and dance and say how tolerant and diverse they are because they accept people like us in their films. And they put this quota system when it comes to films that are qualified for winning an Oscar. Not Disney, of course, the Oscars are doing this. And yet, the industry itself has apparently very little concern for what's going on behind the scenes and the blood, sweat, and tears that are involved in making these films in lands where the people have been genocided. So as far as I'm concerned, Disney's decision not to attend here today, for me, and I'm no judge, and I can only speak personally, for me is an admission of guilt and complicity in a genocide that is perhaps history's most technologically sophisticated, with 2 million Uyghurs in concentration camps. And I ask everybody listening, do not watch Mulan, do not attend any of its screenings, even if lockdown ends. And personally, if Disney does not swiftly address this business of even boycotting a parliamentary hearing on this. I would even encourage everybody to cancel all their Disney subscriptions, and I will be beginning a campaign in the Muslim world to make sure that Muslims are aware that Disney has behaved in this way today.
Thank you, Maajid.